Tyler was driven like AK, Realtor Dave. We're pulling into the end of June here, 2016. So the first half of the year is done. And it's kind of an interesting time to look back on the stats and see what's been going on so far this year. We've definitely seen we've seen the markets solidify a little bit the last few weeks here, or last few months, I should say. But of course, the overall impact of the year has been largely negative. And looking at home prices across the city, they're down about 4%. Most of home prices, that includes attached homes, and apartments. Breaking those categories down a little bit, single-family homes are down about 3%, attached homes down about 4 to 5%, and then apartments are down about 7% this year, which is fairly significant considering it's only been 6 months, but it is what it is. And we break down those categories a little bit more. You look at single-family homes less than 500,000. Sales these days are really picking up, and we're seeing basically 1 in 1.7 of those homes sell. So basically these days, the vast majority of homes less than $500,000 are selling, and especially if it's a decent product. And that's the category I like to look at. It's a single family home market for the first time home buyer. And those are things that were, early in the year was still going fairly well. They were selling though about 1 in 1.3 sort of, or 1 in 3 were selling sort of thing. So to see them selling at less than 1 in 2 right now shows the market is kind of really ramping up there. The one category I've been following that's been really interesting is the $600,000 to $800,000 market for single-family homes. Now, this market is typically a couple who's buying this, and so we really saw this drop off early in the year as couples, even those who were both employed, were really examining their priorities and were being very careful. And a lot of the time, they were buying a home less than $500,000, which we typically see one person buy, because they want to be aware that if one of them lost their jobs, they could still afford the mortgage. So earlier in the year, only 1 in 7 were selling, and now we're seeing 1 in 3 sell. So we've definitely seen that part of the market really pick up. Still, 1 in 3 is not a fantastic number, but it's a definite improvement. Looking at higher than that, the $1 million price point, earlier in the year we were seeing 1 in 8 sell. Now we're seeing 1 in 6 sell. So a little better, of course, still a long way to go. I don't want to break down all the stats for you, but the improvements we're seeing in the single-family home market is still sort of translating across markets, though other places are still, other style of homes are still harder to sell. Looking at attached homes that are not condos, you're looking about 1 in 4 selling these days. Condos, you're kind of closer to 1 in 6 almost for townhouses. And apartments, probably 1 in 7. So apartments are still struggling to sell these days. If you want a specific segment of your population, just let me know and I can tell you what the odds are of selling these days. The other interesting thing I'm really watching these days is particular areas of the city. We're looking at the overall market being down about 3.6%. It's interesting to break down into different segments of the market. So the best performing area right now is actually the north. And by the north, as per the MLS map, that's really where that new C train line is going. So that market is only down about 2%, which is pretty good. Almost doing better than, almost twice as good as the market is doing in terms of the overall market's down 3.6, it's only down about 2%. So that north part is really doing well. I think people are starting to really price in the C train, which is good. It's definitely coming through, and I think you see the value building or buying around transit. The worst performing, oddly enough, is actually the southeast, and this includes the areas of Cranston, Auburn Bay, Mahogany. Hot areas, but areas that have been really built a lot in. Supply is off there. So we're really seeing that part of the population, that housing population, take the biggest brunt of it, down about 4.4%. If we're looking at overall communities, oddly enough, Earlton is the top performing community right now, and I think that's because it really swung to one direction after the floods. It really went down a lot. Now, it's been a couple of years since the floods. People are getting a little bit braver. People are seeing the value in Earlton, so they are starting to buy that area up again. It's actually up 8.8% since the start of the year, so it's pretty high. Other areas I'm seeing doing really well, kind of the bungalow communities, oddly enough, of the southeast. We're seeing those areas, Acadia, Fairview, Willow Park, Maple Ridge, these sorts of places, all up about 7% year over year. So these areas are doing really well. Flip side, the worst actually performing area is Sun Alta, down about 12%. And again, those new areas are performing really poorly. Cranston, Mahogany, Auburn Bay. I do see the value in those places overall, don't get me wrong, but in the short term, of course, they're getting beat up a little bit. Guys, questions as always, let me know. I have a lot of statistics right now. I've been going through a lot of the numbers. If you want anything particular, let me know. I will be sending out a written report on this stuff that will include more stats as well. So if you're not on my email list and you want to be on that, feel free to send me an email to daveruthick@remax.net. Other than that, guys, hope all is well. Hope everyone's enjoying the great weather, and I'll talk to you all soon. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye.